The show that I think is the most promising out of all of them as an entire show, and I know people often say Run This Town, which was good, but to be honest, you can actually just listen to it without watching it while you cook, which is what I did, and it held up. It's not the greatest. But what is the greatest is the Reno 911 Quibi episodes, which are genuinely great. I was surprised how good they were. And they actually use the technology better than I've seen in any show. Any Quibi show I've seen thus far. They have a lot of cool guest stars. They're all consistently funny. They do some cool stuff with the money. It is probably what will be known as the best that Quibi had to offer. Now, my relationship with Reno 911 is I've always found it to be consistently funny. I've never felt like it was never not funny. I've always thought it was a funny show. I don't understand when people say it fell off at the end or something like that. Like, every episode I genuinely enjoyed. And the amount of work and kind of like improvisation they put into it, you can tell they really went all out there with that show. I don't know. I've always found it to be really great. This kind of, for me, holds up to the regular standard of Reno 911. I would say the one thing that really works about it, it's 12 Quibis. So it's like, I guess, like an hour of content. And they're all pretty solid, to be honest with you. They're really good at like keeping their bits within a Quibi, doing certain things with it. There's one where they realize they've never shot an unarmed white guy, so they look for an unarmed white guy to shoot. They have one bit that I think is the one that a lot of people like, is they have Paul Walter Hauser, who was in the Richard Jewell movie, playing a security guard for the police station, which is very meta and hilarious and a typical Reno 911 bit. I thought that was really great. He's very game for it as well. You have cameos from everyone from Dave Holmes, Patton Oswalt. Tim Allen is in this as someone who runs Space Force. Yes, Buzz Lightyear does a Space Force parody. He is really good in this. He was very game for it. Ron Perlman as well. Danny Trejo. Oh, Jim Rash does a part in this, which I don't know. Was he in the original? I think he was. But they do really funny bits on this. One that I think is a real standout is they do a really cool tracking shot, a funeral shot where the police are pallbearers. And it's this crazy tracking shot where they carry the casket from the church to the burial site, and all these crazy things happen. There's one shot where I know there's a cut, because I always look for like, where's the cut where like suddenly the camera goes against a wall, or like they pass a porta potty. I'm like 100% sure there's a cut there. But regardless, it was really hilarious sequence. I love like just watching some of those. Sometimes I'm just watching the logistics of those things. My wife didn't think that part was as funny as I did, but I found it. I just remember just sort of watching it, and I was watching this, and I just remember like it literally stopped me. Like, I was just staring at this thing like, holy crap, that's an amazing shot. And I don't know if it's as funny as just like awe-inspiring that they did it. As well as they do some cool things with the technology. You know, they do these 2 bits in it where suddenly, I think it's actually 3 bits now that I think about it, where it'll suddenly say rotate. And I was like, that's weird. They never really say that. And I rotated my phone, and I was like, well, what if I rotate back? And it's literally, you know how it's like the, let me get my phone. So, you know, normally you go like this, and you're supposed to switch. And it's supposed to, basically the idea was it's the same shot, just a different kind of, you know, portrait and landscape. It was basically, they wanted you to shoot it with different cameras, but be the same shot when I talked about the turnstile technology. But this, they did a different thing, where this way it's one shot, and this way it's another shot. Now, in some way, in a couple of them, it's like basically like a different angle, and it's interesting. But then they did one that you actually can go back and forth and get interesting, funny comedy bits. Where they had, I believe it's Trudy, the one cop is live streaming her basically like putting a glue rat trap to like wax herself. She's live streaming on Instagram, and then Paul Walter Hauser is watching it on his phone. And when you go like this, you watch her, and go like this, you're watching him. That was really funny. I got to give it to them for that, because that was actually really cool. I really like that, because it was basically like a reason for me to, I rewatched it even to see all their reactions, and I like just flipping between the 2 things. So I really got to give it to them, because that was a cool use of it. Did another one with Dangle running around, which is another tracking shot, and you saw the body cam footage was the one way, and then I think landscape was the actual shot, and portrait was the body cam, the horizontal was the regular shot. Anyway, if you like Reno 911, the Quibi episodes definitely hold up. If you sign up for Quibi and you're like, I signed up, I should cancel it before they charge me, just watch the Reno 911 stuff. It's great. It's funny. It's the regular standard of Reno 911. I did learn when researching this, sadly, Reno 911, this is the first reboot. They tried to reboot it in 2011 on Netflix. It didn't take because people were busy. Schedule it didn't work out, but Reno 911 actually, one of the reasons they wanted to make 12 episodes was because it only has 88 episodes and they didn't have enough for syndication. Although I thought it was syndicated, but they wanted to make it better for syndication with the Netflix deal, and that didn't work out. So this is actually the second time they've tried a revival. There are only 12 of the Quibi Reno 911s. I think they're genuinely really good. You get some cool guest stars. They definitely use the money in fun, effective ways. They do a bunch of stuff with, like, a lot of episodes end with the cops in Reno 911 making ads for the Reno Sheriff's Department, which are actually really funny. They do some stuff with, like, pronoun jokes, which I didn't love, but they're not offensive. They're just them being silly. And they have this kind of plane set that they use probably too many times, but Reno 911 is always consistently great, and I would honestly say it's the best thing that Quibi did, and they actually had fun with the technology. They had fun with the money. I mean, they have this awesome tracking shot, and it's hilarious. They have, like, a lot of really funny bits. They had one where they had a gun fashion show, where everyone just starts shooting at each other. It just, Patton Oswalt is blocking a unisex bathroom, and that was really funny. Just, like, broadcasting like he's a low-rent Glenn Beck or whoever. It's a really funny show. I highly recommend the Reno 911 Quibi episodes. If you just want a good, solid comedy, which Reno 911 for me was all the way through, I would say that is definitely one of them. I think it's the best thing that Quibi has to offer, is just showing you, like, people who really just know how to make comedy and know how to make quick bits. And Reno 911 was just a bunch of quick bits, so you're really actually, not to go in the Quibi thing, but you're really actually not, like, changing the show. They're able to still be Reno 911 just, like, quickly. So they didn't really change anything. And the funny thing is I didn't feel like I was watching a reduced thing. I just felt like I was watching Reno 911, which I think it also shows how strong they are as storytellers. I feel like that's the one thing about Reno 911 is no one appreciated everything they're putting into their comedy and how much work it probably takes to improv and be that funny all the time for 88 episodes. And I think they really did do that rather well in the Reno 911 Quibi episode. So definitely check those out if you have Quibi or would like to at some point. Okay, anyway,